Hello everyone, this is Plankera, and welcome to my universe. Today, I'm going to continue rigging Shalom from Path to Nowhere. So I remember yesterday I was taking a look at her side bangs and revisiting some of these top angles. And for the most part, I actually think they look pretty okay. There's just a few details I need to fix here and there, and then I think everything will be fine again. I'm just really taking in everything here one more time before I start moving things around. Because for the most part, I do think that they look okay, so the only things remaining are a bunch of really small details. But I do think that getting them right will be helpful. And even when I went to go look at the corners, they weren't they weren't terrible. But there are a lot of things I want to fix. Is like when I go from here to here, for example. If you look at the side bangs, it's like, yeah, that needs to be fixed. But for every problem that I have there, I think there are 2 or 3 areas that I think look right. So I'll just start going through it. My throat's feeling a little bit funny because I swallowed some water wrong right before stream. Always a bit unfortunate. I was thirsty. And I guess sometimes my body thinks that it can put the water anywhere it wants and everything will be fine, but that is unfortunately not how our bodies work. I wish it was. That would be wonderful. And I could just be like a plant and have a nice bath and not be thirsty anymore. Saved me a lot of trouble and a lot of pain and water going down the wrong pipe. So, I'm okay. My throat's just gonna feel a little bit funny for a few minutes. Alright, so the main issue that I was seeing in this little spot that I'm fixing here is just that it looked like the side bang was kind of squishing downward. So it's kind of getting squished that way. So I'm just pulling everything out just a little bit here and adjusting everything else accordingly. And then everything should be fine again. In theory. The area here, I wouldn't say it's that difficult to control. For the most part, it all just kind of comes, but there are a lot of little color changes to pay attention to, so I like to move things very carefully. And right now I do still feel like the highlights here are being stretched upward. So let's go ahead and move some of the other vertices in this area upward as well. This way, everything can move upward together. It's very slight, though, so that's why I'm just doing it all with a very soft and gentle touch. And it's nice, because so far I haven't even had to turn off any hair layers. Just able to keep it all on. So that's how you know that it's touch-ups instead of a lot of extensive work that I was doing before. Because I remember when I was doing the first bit of hair and the first bit of the head turns, I had to turn most of her hair off. And so we just had funny bald spots everywhere, and she just had like a half-shaved haircut for the longest time while I was trying to figure out how to get all that to work. But now the hair is here. Maybe I'll have to get rid of a few strands here and there to help me see what I'm doing, but for the most part, I think it's here to stay. It's very exciting. I'm very happy. So close to the end. I can hardly believe it. Been going up the head turns for months, and soon I will not be drowning in hair. It's fantastic. It kind of feels so weird, you know? Finally being able to do some other stuff. Okay, I think that's already looking so much better. Autosave was just there helping me out, so I had to stop for a second, but now it's back. Alright, now I'm not entirely satisfied with how these transition colors are. So I'll start pulling those downward just a little bit here. I just think it's a little bit too high up. Her head's not tilting back that much. Those highlights down here aren't moving up that much, so there's no reason for all these things to be moving quite like that. Yep, and then right around here is still not quite right too. So this is going to be a day of details and staring. Because I think when I was doing the upward turns here, I was not quite as particular about getting the side bangs to look just right. I'm just like, yeah, they'll be wiggling a little bit anyway. So it's okay if I don't get them to match one for one. And I think that's maybe half true, maybe a little bit less than half true. I wanted to get it a little bit closer than how I was doing it, just because I think being particular about it really helped my downward angles feel good. So I want to take some of that all the way into the top. I want to be picky. The ever picky future self. Okay. So I think everything is going pretty well there. So now it's the weekend, so this means today, or possibly tomorrow, is going to be weekly speed paint day. And this time I actually got a request from somebody that watches the stream, so I've been pretty excited to work on it. The reason I say possibly tomorrow is just because if I'm a little bit tired, I might save it for when I'm feeling a little bit better, but I don't know. I think I'm feeling pretty good today, so I think it'll probably be done today. Like those weekly speed paints. It's like a super intense hour. It is super intense. I kind of like it. Just being able to go in and be hyper-focused for that 1 hour. I also recently learned that there's a Pixiv tag for speed paints. At least I think that's what it is. I'll go read the description for it before I use it, of course, but I think that's pretty cool, so I need to go start using these things. I've been trying to learn how to tag my things on Pixiv better because people that post there are actually pretty good at tagging their works and thus searching for them, so I would like people to be able to find me and the things that I make. So I am trying to get better at that. It's just hard because I do not yet speak Japanese. I'm getting there, but I think I'm still a while off. So I just kind of have to guess on tags. I do think it's always interesting to see the difference in cultures between the various platforms. Still have not quite figured out how to use Twitter. I'm not sure if I ever will. But I kind of appreciate a lot of the culture around Pixiv and the Japanese artists. Just because I do like just posting my stuff and not being concerned about, I don't know, talking about myself or having to share other things. Just being able to post my work and say, here, look, it's shiny. Enjoy it. And having that be enough. Have the focus be more on the work itself than on me. Sure, it sounds strange from someone that decided to become a streamer, but I've always preferred it that way, having more emphasis on the work than on me. One of those little personal preference things. I think that's why, even though a lot of the times I do go off on random tangents when I'm talking, I actually do like talking about what I'm thinking about while I'm working on this stuff. Like how right now, I wasn't satisfied with the thickness of the shadow underneath the side bang here, so I'm going ahead and making it a little bit thicker. Because when I went to the center and had her starting to look up there, I felt like the dark shadow was getting hidden. And I think that makes sense when her head is moving down, but I think when her head is moving up, We should see more of this underneath area, and thus more of that dark shadow. So those are the kinds of things that I like to talk about. I like to talk about the thought that I put into all of this, and what I'm thinking about in the moment. Unfortunately, it just also so happens that it's hard to describe sometimes. Because sometimes I'm just like, that looks wrong. Why? I don't know. But I know it does. I'm gonna go ahead and hide the hair shadows again while I work on this. I need to make sure the hair is lining up the way that I want it to before I worry about the shadows. Just because otherwise I'll be shifting shadows around all the time, and well, that's just time consuming for absolutely no benefit, so the shadows will come back at the very end. Man, something about the top part there still looks wrong. It's exactly what I described before. Something is wrong about it. What? I don't know. But it is. So I gotta go in and poke it and try to figure out what's going on there. I'm realizing that I think this is probably why a lot of art streams turn into just chatting streams. Because, man, trying to describe what I'm doing, not always easy. And frankly, a lot of the time it doesn't even always make sense. I think this is especially true when I'm trying to draw. Because, like, at least with rigging, I can say, oh, look. I'm just trying to make it so that this way it looks like her head is turning upward. So I want to move all the various pieces that I have here in that way, so this way it looks more like that. And that's all well and good. But with drawing, I'm taking something that does not exist. It's just sitting there in my head. Nothing is real yet, and I have to, you know, put it down on something that is real and have it make sense. And that's a pretty wild feeling. Also a pretty annoying one, because you see, when something is in your head, it can look however you want it. It will be an ideal form. Everything about it will be perfect. It just is. Because that's what your brain says it is. And you don't see any of the specific shapes, or you might see some colors. But it's insufficient for it to be real. Very much insufficient. But even though you have this clear picture in your head, it's still not easy to get down. This is another thing that's kind of hard to describe, but I think this is something that more people have probably experienced themselves. It's just, you picture this thing in your head, whether it's art or something you're gonna write, or even just a witty comeback that you happen to think up, 4 hours after an incident with some jerk. Like, I think everybody has these moments. And it's just like, why can't I get these things to look like how I picture them in my head? And it's simple. It's because the stuff in your head's not real. Your brain says, yes, this thing in my head is perfect. And it convinces itself of that. Because it doesn't actually have to think about what makes up those pieces. All you see is the good parts. None of the imperfections that come with being real. Brains are wild. They really are. Alright, I do think that things are looking much better here, though. Everything moving up more the same amount, and everything is just looking a little bit more convincing, I think. I'm pretty happy with it all. Going to adjust this little strand down here now. I think it's mostly right. I just got a couple little spots I want to thicken up and move around. I'm also noticing that my throat is starting to feel better after swallowing funny. I'm glad such things never last long. And my throat just gets back to normal after a little while. Still, I do find bodies to be very inconvenient. It's like, man body, you demand that I drink water, and then you just decide to put it in the wrong spot for no apparent reason. So rude. Okay, yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Now let's see here. My brain has decided we're gonna do the right side. As opposed to the side bangs like I was initially planning. Just because I've noticed a couple of other things that I want to fix up on this right side here. Like, this strand is getting kind of fat, and the strand from hell is being itself, you know, hellish as usual. So, I will want to go ahead and fix that. But yeah, if you watch this strand closely, just, I don't know, it's a little bit wiggly. I think it's like 90% fine, but I think it gets a little bit too short. And then certain spots are right around here just get kind of thick. Hello there, Luminance. I'm doing pretty alright this morning. I swallowed some of the water I was drinking before stream wrong. And it made my throat feel all funny for a while, but I think it's all going back to normal now. How are you doing today? I'm going back in and revisiting my upward head turns. Well, I suppose that's, better than doing not so fine, you guess. It's looking like I'm probably going to finish all my head turns this week, so that's pretty exciting for me, depending on how long it takes me to line up my corners. But I feel like everything's going well. I got all my lower turns done, in theory. I don't know, there's still something, the way something about her face moves down there, but I don't know what it is, so I'm not worrying about it for the time being. And I'm just going through and revisiting my upward turns here. So, very, very exciting. And be able to get some physics in here soon. Yeah. Physics and programs like this are always a good time. They really bring everything to life in a way that cannot be described. It's wonderful, and I've been looking forward to it for such a long time. Ever since I've really started working on this, really. But soon I'll be able to do all that. Due to the nature of the character, I'm probably going to keep the physics pretty subdued, just because Shalom is not the type that needs stuff bouncing all over the place. She's not a bouncy one. But nonetheless, just adding a little bit of movement to her hair will be pretty nice. Oh no. That's actually quite unfortunate. Are you doing all right? It's gotta be pretty rough not having power. Like, it's easy to joke about when the power goes out for like an hour here. I tend to, you know, get more productive than I normally am with certain things that I can only do without power, but... Oh, I see. Yeah, because I was gonna say, power is used for so much more than just computers and the like. There's heating and keeping food from spoiling and all these other things. And if there's long-lasting blackouts, that can certainly have wide-reaching issues, so I hope all that gets resolved for you soon. Okay, so I think I've solved the issue that I had at the bottom of this strand. So now I'm debating with myself on the nature of this highlight here, if that's a good spot for it or not. Because I'm wondering if it would look better if it was just a little bit lower. So I guess I'll try that real quick, and if I don't like it, I will just hit the undo button a bunch of times and put it back. The joy of working digitally. Truly an excellent vehicle for just trying things, because the undo button is very convenient. Yeah, I actually do think it looks a little bit better right there. Cool. Glad I tried it. So now I just need to kind of straighten things out over there and get everything a little bit smoother. Okay. I think that should be fine. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, that seems okay. Letting myself be a little bit of a perfectionist on that, because the next thing I'm going to work on is the strand from hell, and I'm just always like, it gets its name for a reason. That area just never cooperates with me. So I'm going to do the top part first, because the top part always cooperates with me more than the bottom part. So let's get this part looking good. And then I'll worry about the rest. Yes. Yes, yes. I do wish I knew why that bottom part just never cooperated with me, but... well, here we are. Not much I can do with my current level of understanding. So right now, what I'm looking at is just these little highlights right through there. Trying to get them all looking good. I'm also trying to remember if when I was going through and fixing the back hair everywhere, if I did it for the upward turns too. I can't remember if I did or not. So I'll want to take a look at that as well once I finish everything else, but I think I'd like to get everything else into place before I worry too much about her back hair. You know, every time I say that, I realize it can be misconstrued. As opposed to the hair on the back of her head, just like the hair on her back. But no, I doubt Shalom has actual hair on her back, and even if she did, I certainly would not be modeling it. After all, we don't see her back at all on this. Actually, that reminds me, a long time ago, when I was looking through live 2D showcases, I saw someone actually did model their character turning around. And I'm just like, Christ, why would you do that? At that point, you might as well just use the 3D model. I think that'd be easier. But it was really cool. The effect was really well done. I was super impressed. So I guess I could understand why this person wanted to do something like that. It was just something cool. Probably just done because it's like, why not? I'm doing it because I can. I too hope that someday I can achieve that level of skill. I actually haven't looked through live 2D showcases in a long time. Indeed. Is there anything that you've been super motivated to do lately? Oh wow, never realized how kind of messy the vertices get down here. Okay. So I'm certainly gonna have an adventure with this strand here, so here we go. Oh, I see. Which game? Alright, but I guess it's time. Yeah. Always unfortunate when the circumstances outside of your control stop you from being able to do what you want to do. Good luck, friend. I really do hope that everything resolves itself soon. But really, what game is it? I am curious. Geometry Dash. I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. I think the reason I know about it is because that and Brain Age. I think I've seen people find my channel from it. I think I've seen it in my analytics of search terms that people have used to find my channel, which I think is hilarious. Probably from when I talk about triangles and just the massive amount of triangles that comes with these meshes. I assume that YouTube is just able to pick up what I'm talking about, and for whatever reason, assumed it was relevant to the people looking about triangles in these games. Yeah. It's a platformer, right? But yes, it's not a game I've played myself, but I have heard the name. Okay, just trying to take this part here nice and slow. Try to line up some of these little textures and make sure that everything is moving up the same amount. Because, oh man. Okay. I'm gonna consult the mesh and see if that'll help fix all my problems here. I believe in you, mesh. Please help. Okay, so this is another one where I didn't do a perfectly straight line of dots. So there's some stuff that, yeah, this part's like a little bit further to the left compared to these other ones here. You can see kind of dances around a bit. So that probably is related to why certain parts look a little bit wrong. And see, this is why I consult the mesh. The mesh knows what's going on. The mesh is always full of great ideas. This is a case where, at least with this particular area, I'm pretty okay with it looking fairly similar all the way through. So I think I can just afford to look at the mesh itself and then go from there and just try to match up these two areas exactly. I don't need to do a lot of special distortion or anything. It's like if it wouldn't reset everything I did up here, I'd even consider resetting the strand entirely and just moving it up. But alas, I don't want to redo everything that I did up there, so I'm doing it like this. But I think it should be fine. I will just very carefully look at how these vertices are moving. Very, very carefully. And try to get them into good places. I'm basically not looking at the textures at all. The art is barely registering in my brain right now. Right now it's just triangles. An endless sea of triangles. Okay, and now I'm at this part, which is one of the areas that I saw the most problems with. So I need to pay very special attention to all of this. I think before I go down the strand there, I'm actually going to go check on this and see how it's all looking. It's better, but is it good? That is the question. That is what I need to stare at right now. Make sure that everything is kind of the way I want it to be. But yeah, I actually do think it's pretty okay now. I do need to make some adjustments down the strand here, but I think everything else is okay. So, that is wonderful. The mesh helped me through here. So now all I gotta do is straighten it out and make it pretty. So thank you, Mesh. Thank you for all of your assistance here. I think this would have been much harder to do with just my eyes. Okay, so I think that's looking all right. So now, back down here. Where I very carefully move things up once more. Although it actually looks like some of these got really squished together. And that's kind of part of the problem here. And whether perhaps not looking as good as they could. So let's space out all these little vertices just a little bit nicer. Give them the personal space they want. Okay, yeah, I think that's better. Cool. I'm always afraid when it comes to the strand from hell, but that wasn't too bad. And I think the last little bits on the right side look fine. And it looks like even her back hair looks pretty okay too, so that tells me that I probably did do all of the angles when I was going back and fixing up her back hair. So that is good to know. So now I guess it's time to move on to the left side. See if there's anything else I want to fix over here. Because I do recall seeing a couple of problems with her side hair here. So I'm gonna go stare at that for just a second here. Do some nice intense staring so I can get an understanding of what I want to fix. And frankly, there's not much. I think it's looking really good. So there's this little dark part coming out there. I thought was a little bit low. And then besides that, I think it's just something on this highlight is not moving right. What? I don't know yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and stare and hopefully figure that out. See if I can just solve all my problems by staring at it hard enough. When the autosave allows it, of course. Man, I'm being hard on the autosave today. It's doing its best. And overall, I do think it's useful. It definitely saved me a couple of times when I was rigging my personal model. Just because this was an older version of Inochi2D that I was using at that time. Because that's what existed. And it was a little bit less stable. So occasionally stuff would happen, or I'd try something very silly. And needed to, like, revert to a previous version or something like that, and autosaved would always save me from crashes and various things like that. Program doesn't crash very much anymore, though. It's gotten much, much more stable. The developers have done a good job with it. So I'm excited to see where it'll be in the coming year. And I actually think I've already fixed most of the problems that I had with the little highlight or side bang here. So I think everything else is looking pretty okay. Oh dear, what happened? Alright, so to adjust this strand just a little bit, I felt like it was a little bit too low at the bottom there. But I think that's looking a little bit better. We'll have to smooth it out, but yeah, that's definitely looking a little bit better. Let's go smooth it out. Oh, I see. Which game is this? Alright, there we go. Now it's nice and smooth. Let me check to make sure that the angle is still good. Try to get off my foot. Falling asleep there. Alright, yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think I need to adjust this tiny little strand coming out here, though. It's a little bit too low. So I'll go ahead and move that on up. Well, yeah, I mean, that's not the kind of thing that you just live down. But it's okay. I think it's okay to give someone a hard time for such things. As long as you're not too mean about it. Alright, I think that's looking pretty good. Is there anything else on this end that I want to change? Yeah, maybe just a little bit on this strand, but otherwise, I think it's looking pretty good. I bet. Which game is this? Oh, is it still Geometry Dash? Okay. Yeah, that game looks like something that you could speedrun, so I'm not surprised. Well, I guess we can just say congrats, guy. Congrats on getting good. Is that back hair? It is. Okay. In that case, I want to do something a little bit different on this side with the back hair. Now that I look at it, there's a little gap here. And I do think I want to pull this all the way to the edge here. I don't think that gap looked very good there. So let's try it like this. Will that muck things up at all? Nope, think it looks fine. Most excellent. Yeah, that's what I say. It just depends on how hard of a time they're giving them. Like, I think it's pretty normal to kind of needle someone and give them a little bit of a hard time, but it's like if he's turned over a new leaf, cut him some slack. That tends to be how I feel about it. There's a difference between a good-natured ribbing and just being kind of malicious. Alright, I think that's looking pretty good. So this means next time I'll be able to dig back into the corners. Although I guess first I should do the shadows. I didn't change that much, so I doubt I have to do that much with the shadows, but there were a couple of areas that I wasn't happy with, like right here. So I'm just checking all the other shadows. For the most part, I think they're okay. I guess I'll go ahead and fix the one that I had the biggest problem with first. Might as well. Yeah, that looks much better already. And then I think I want the shadows to go under the tips of her hair a little bit better again. So I'll just go ahead and pull this down just a little bit here. Oh yeah, that's much better. It's amazing how much of a difference those little adjustments can make. I just noticed there's something going on with her eye there. I am assuming that this is some interpolation shenanigan. So let me make sure I get those numbers right. So eyelash spikes. Yep. Yep, there's shenanigans here. That should definitely not be like that. Okay, is that the only thing that got all messed up? Looks like it. Okay. Oh yes, there we go, that's much better. Okay. But yeah, I can already see going from here to here, there's some things that need to change. Oh goodness. The corners are why I wanted to redo this, because, man. Where do I even start? Okay, well. That seems like it might be a puzzle for future me. Because I'm looking at this and I'm scared. Man, that's a lot of wiggling. Alright, I'm probably gonna stop shortly here too. I'm just staring at this and feeling very scared. My goodness. And I think her chin is still a little bit off too. So yeah, I think I will just go ahead and stop here and start digging into that tomorrow, when maybe it looks a little bit less overwhelming. So I hope you have a good dinner. And thank you all for coming. I hope you're able to create something wonderful today. I'll see you tomorrow.